everybody, it's Dr. V. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've already set sacred space. I was recording earlier and it didn't work, like I had a glitch, and so I'm going to go ahead and restart with the same cards that I pulled because I feel like the messages are salient. So Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside. I call upon my ancestors, guides, divine love, higher wisdom to protect this space, guide these messages, protect the listener and the person for whom they're listening. May these messages encourage, inspire, and transform. And so it is. So I'm starting off with the Mythic Oracle by Carissa Mulatto. And so I pulled these cards already, and I'm going to just go ahead and jump into the reading, which is for the masculine energy. The masculine is currently in Prometheus, sacrifice. What this message is all about is the masculine's making a decision to rise up and to be the true hero, to not just be put out a front. So a lot of masculine energies may have been putting on a good front. They may have been putting on a good show and being like, everything is great, my life is perfect, everything is going well. But on the inside, they know that they've compromised, that they've settled, they've sold themselves out. They haven't been living with integrity. They haven't been operating in the level of character that they know that they want to, and also that they know that they are being called to. Not even that they should, because should is kind of a shame-based energy. This is more of, I know that there is more available to me. I know that I'm capable of doing much more than I've been doing, but I've been comfortable cutting corners. I've been comfortable settling and not stepping up into integrity. Like I've been comfortable with taking what's easy because it's easy, as opposed to doing the right thing, which might be the hard thing. And so they're really understanding that. They're really understanding that there has been a discrepancy between perhaps their stated values, the things that they say. They may say like, well, I feel like this particular thing, honesty is really important. It's really a critical thing. But then when you scratch the surface a little bit, you find out that they're not really honest, that they have a pattern of lying or deceiving or just not being completely honest, which I think is a lie. But that is something that they could be, that they're really facing. It feels like sort of like they have had a mirror put up to their face, which you could be their connection with you. Maybe you showed them some things about themselves that they needed to face. And they avoided it for a while, but now it's coming back up in full force, and they're having to really deal with the tough stuff. The stuff that they have tried to avoid, the stuff that they have not wanted to face. But now they're recognizing, in order to be the hero, in order to be the person that I want to be, the person that my future generations can look up to, the person that breaks the generational curses in my life, I'm going to have to make a sacrifice. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to have to start living in service to my higher good, the higher good of humanity, instead of in service to my ego. Those are not easy decisions to make. Those are not easy things to do. And it does require a sacrifice, but it feels like the masculines are understanding that and getting into that energy of being willing to say, look, I'm ready to do the hard stuff. I'm ready to face myself, to face my demons, my issues, whatever you want to call it, to be able to move forward and to become someone that I can be proud of. Right? Someone that I can really look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm really proud of myself. I've done the hard work. I've done the things. So the masculines are really stepping up into, I feel like, their integrity. They're starting to recognize when they're out of alignment and wanting to take steps to correct that. So what the feminines are bringing is Orpheus. Now Orpheus, this card says faith. And the mythology of Orpheus is, I don't have it memorized, but the long and short of it was he was granted passage out of Hades and was like, as long as you don't look back, you'll be fine. He ended up looking back, and it came at a great cost. This also reminds me of the story in the Bible of Lot's wife, who was granted passage from, I believe it was Sodom and Gomorrah, and was the only caveat was just don't look back. And she looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. And so there's some really strong messages right now for the feminines around not looking back. If you have made a decision to move forward in your life in some particular way, whether that is toward a new connection, whether it's toward a passion project, maybe you've decided to go in a different direction for your career, or maybe you're looking at moving to a different area or something. It could be a number of things, starting a book. This is saying, don't look back. If you have made a decision to move forward, or Spirit has specifically told you to move forward in some way, it's important that you take that and you go with it, that you don't look back, that you don't question what you've been guided to do, that you don't continue to wonder, is this the right path? Is this what I should be doing? Or am I making the wrong choice? No, the message is very, very clear. Whatever you have been guided to do, and this is like really important to be clear, that it's not about what is your ego guiding you to do, what is fear guiding you to do, but when Spirit has prompted you in a particular direction and you know that's where you're supposed to be going, taking that and not looking back, not questioning whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, or having doubts or stumbling over your fears. This is like, if you've been given a passageway out of hell, because that's literally what this card is saying, if you've been given a free pass to get out of the hell that you've been caught in, go. Don't look back. There's nothing in the past for you to see. There's nothing in the past for you to see. There is nothing to go back to. We have to release the past and able to move forward into the future. What we had yesterday or 10 years ago is no longer there. Things change, energy changes, life changes. And so we have to stop looking back and thinking that somehow, we could go back or that things will be better. That's not the way it works. We have to continue going forward with faith, knowing that the path that we've been guided on is exactly where we're supposed to be, and we're doing exactly what we're meant to be doing at this time. So really beautiful messages to start the reading. I'm going to go ahead and move this aside. And I'm going to use the Starry Cauldron Tarot, which you can purchase at thestarrycauldron.com. I'm going to look at the connective energies between the two right now. And then I'll look at a little closer peek at what each person is contributing and what is ahead for this connection. The overall connective energy, interesting. We have the Ten of Wands, the Messenger of Cups, and the Wizard of Cups. Beautiful. So the Ten of Wands is about laying a burden down. That's how I'm reading this card right now. The Ten of Wands is a person in the traditional tarot that's carrying 10 wands, and it's like you can't see, you're kind of ready to stumble. The Ten of Wands is about recognizing when things are a burden and letting it go. Recognizing if does something feel light or does it feel heavy. Recognizing, does this feel like it's in my highest good or does it feel like I'm doing something out of obligation? So really spending the time to examine the situations that we're in. If something feels heavy, if it feels like a burden, if it doesn't feel light, it's time to release it. Whatever that might be. If you think of something and it just makes you feel down, it makes you feel like heavy and uninspired, that may not be the path or the energy that you want to be in. Now, it's also important to remember that part of our journey is about really owning our own energy and recognizing that we can shift our experience of things, or we can choose what energy space we want to be in. Again, if you're in a situation, if you're at a job and you wake up every day and you're like, oh God, I hate my job. I can't believe I have to go into this shitty place with these shitty people, maybe it's time to look at getting a new job. If you're in a relationship where you feel that way, where you feel, taken advantage of or unappreciated, and you communicate that, you do that, you take the steps to correct it, and you do the work, and then it still doesn't feel right, it still doesn't feel good, it's maybe time to let the burden go. Release that. Whatever isn't serving you any longer, whatever is not helping in your evolution, it may be time to just release it and move forward in a different direction. I'm always reminded when I see this card of the quote from, I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Atlas Shrugged. And I'm not talking about the politics of the book, but one of the quotes that always stood out to me was one of the characters says to the other, imagine being Atlas, and I'm paraphrasing here, with the weight of the world on your shoulders and everything is weighing you down. Like, what would you advise Atlas to do? And the other character responds, I'd advise him to shrug, to take that weight off. And that's what this card is saying to me. is that if you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders for something, it may be time to shrug and to look at the things that you can let go of that aren't serving you, so that you can move toward your future in a more positive and light direction. So we have the Messenger of Cups. This would be the Page of Cups in the traditional tarot. And so this is about really excitement, enthusiasm. This is like feeling inspired. If I'm not mistaken, this card might have come through last week at some point. So this is about having some, like, really being curious about the future, seeing the possibilities that are available. You may be getting intuitive messages about things that you need to listen to, that you're being guided to heed. This is also about having some new creative opportunities that are available to you. So it doesn't, when people hear creative and they think, a lot of times people think about art and so on and so forth, but anything that you're creating from nothing can be creative. So it's whether that's decorating your house, cooking a meal, science is creative. It's literally that there are creative opportunities. So again, it could be some of you might have been guided to write a book. Some of you may be guided to create new art series, whatever that might be, but it's really important to follow those impulses, to follow them where they lead you. If you're being guided in a certain direction, to follow that, and take a stance of curiosity. One of the things, I have a psychologist mentor who I just absolutely adore the way she approaches things, and because she says things in a way that she will literally say things to people, not challenge, like it's a challenge, it's a question, an invitation for them to explore deeper. But the way that she says it is, I'm curious about, X, Y, and Z. Can you tell me more about that? And so there is this real inquisitiveness, a curiosity. Help me understand this a little bit further. And so if you can approach your life and your experiences from a state of curiosity, instead of judgment, instead of making meaning immediately, instead of looking at it a little bit further. What if you approached your experiences from a state of curiosity, of not saying, oh, this must mean that X, Y, and Z, but I'm curious about this. What does it mean? Let me feel into it a little bit more. Let me follow my creativity. Let me follow my intuition and see where it leads me. So that's the current energy that the two are sharing. So what is the masculine energy bringing? So we have the Seven of Cups here. The Witch of Swords. Interesting. And the Three of Wands. More creativity. So the Seven of Cups is about illusions. This is about illusions and reality. So what I'm really getting very clearly from this is that for the masculines, again, part of what with that Prometheus card that came up earlier about sacrifice is that I feel like a lot of them are looking at their approach to life, and whether it's been reality based or whether it's been based on an illusion. And what I mean by that is that for a lot of them, they may be really in a space of saying, like, to themselves and examining, have I truly been living in alignment with my values, or am I living a fantasy? Is what I'm putting out to the world authentic and real, or is it an illusion? And really questioning, do I want to continue living an illusion? Do I want to continue living in a fantasy, living a lie? Or do I want to step into the powerful creativity, integrity that I know I have available to me? And this Witch of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords in the traditional tarot, what this is saying to me, because the Queen of Swords is very logical. The Queen of Swords is very analytical. It can even tend to be harsh at times in the, if we move toward the shadow side of that, where you just cut people off really quickly without any kind of real discussion, where you just kind of maybe are cold-hearted and whatnot. And so this Witch of Swords showing up to me is telling me two things. The first is that if you are a person, the person who's listening, and your masculine cut you off suddenly, like one day you're communicating, the next day you're just like, they have not spoken to you, they blocked you, there's been no communication. Part of what they're doing right now is like, how the Grinch's heart grew three sizes. Their heart is softening. There's been like a thawing of some of their emotional state. And so they may be questioning whether that was the right decision. Maybe wondering if they approached it in the right way or if they were too harsh with it. The other thing is that I feel like for a lot of the masculines that this reading is for is because they were in this illusion, they were in this fantasy, projecting an illusion of who they wanted people to think they were that wasn't really based in truth and reality, that they're starting to recognize, okay, so let me go further with that. Spirit was like, hold on. They were projecting a reality that wasn't real. And so that they became very protective of their ego. Any threats to that, saying that's not really who you are, or calling them out on their behavior or hypocrisy or anything like that was a threat. And so because of that, they might have a very emotional response, which to block, to cut people off, to shut people down, to not be able to hear, because they were protective of that. They were protective of that illusion. And any threats to that, any threats to their ego, what was a very emotional response would be to cut people out. And so now, as they're kind of facing their own stuff, they're stepping out of that emotional response, the emotional "I'm just going to cut you out because you make me uncomfortable" type of response. They're moving more into a mature response where they're able to sit with uncomfortable feedback, where they're able to sit with things that might make them feel threatened, and not have the need to shut people out or cut people off, or get overly invested in those kinds of things where they impulsively act, but really being able to sit with things and be able to face the hard times. That is a mark of maturity. It's a mark of maturity is to be able to sit with uncomfortable feedback and hear it and not take it personally and not get defensive. That's a really difficult thing to do for a lot of people, and it feels like that's where they're stepping into. And as they move through that, what we're seeing is this Three of Wands, which is about putting some things out into the world. This is about putting your feelers out, kind of getting more expansive in your thinking, having some progress, having some ability to see to act with foresight and see things in a more positive direction, creating opportunities. This may be that they're as they become more aligned with the reality instead of the fantasy, that they're able to create more opportunities, more expansion. It's like they, in some ways, they may have put their put their feelers out, and now some opportunities are starting to come back. And it almost feels like a confirmation from Spirit. As you align more with your integrity, you're going to start getting more and more opportunities, because people like and resonate with authenticity and integrity. So it's really positive for the masculines. So what is the feminine bringing? So we have the Ace of Swords, the Empress, yay, and the Seven of Wands. Very interesting. So the Ace of Swords is sort of the aha moment. This is kind of like really seeing things in having some clarity, having some things just making a lot of sense, and having some mental victory. This is also so feminines might have been, if you've been struggling, I think there might have been a Two of Swords last week, struggling with indecision, struggling with not knowing what to do or whatever, not knowing what direction to go. This is a card of having that aha moment, a moment of clarity, clear insight, being able to get unstuck. Really understanding that there is some truth, like really anchoring yourself in some hardcore truth, in justice, not injustice, or anchoring yourself in justice, doing the right thing, really being solid in that type of energy is what I'm getting. And also recognizing that when you're on the right path, there has to be an element of perseverance. You can't give up. You don't give up because things get hard. This came across my feed the other day, and I was watching it, and it just really brought up a lot for me. And it's a movie called Facing the Giants. It came out in 2006. And it's very religious, so if you're not a religious person, don't watch it. But it also has some really beautiful themes in it. And there's a scene in that movie in particular where the coach challenges one of the players to do something that he doesn't think he can do, and the coach puts a blindfold on him and encourages him, and just kind of keeps yelling positivity, which sounds odd, right? But he's down on the ground with him, encouraging him, saying, you know, don't give up on me. You keep going. You give it all you've got. And the kid surpasses what he believes he can do. He goes way beyond what he thought he was able to do. And that's what I feel like a lot of the feminines are experiencing right now. This energy of, I didn't think I could handle this. I didn't think I could do this. And you're starting to understand that you have an ability to persevere in ways that you didn't understand. And so if you've been feeling like you've been walking in the dark for a while, like you've been blindfolded and couldn't see your way, and Spirit just kept telling you, don't give up, keep going, that's because Spirit wanted you to know what you were capable of. Too many times we quit before we're actually able, before our bodies or our spirits reach the breaking point. There's this video about this, I think she's a Brazilian personal trainer, who almost all of her clients end up in tears during their workouts, but they push themselves so hard and so much further than they ever thought they could go. And it's like really understanding that many times our minds will quit before our bodies are need to quit, before our bodies have nothing left to give. And so I'm not encouraging you to like go into extremes, things like that. I mean, always with whatever you're doing, make sure that you're using wisdom as well, but recognizing that too many times we give up because we think we can't persevere. And so a lot of the feminines are really understanding right now that you have so much more power than you even thought available. And then we have the Empress, which is about nurturing. This is the card that is representative of the divine feminine. So that's really awesome. But this is about nurturing. This is about taking care of yourself. If you haven't been taking care of yourself, or it's something that you've struggled with in the past, really look at that and really examine and start increasing your self-care. Get up, take a bath, salt bath, use some scented body oils, feed your body food that is healthy and nurturing. Get a massage if you need a massage. Whatever it is that you need to do. Self-care isn't just about those things either, so let me be clear about that. Self-care is also about other things, like saying no to things that don't serve you. Self-care is also about having really good, solid boundaries. Self-care is also about taking care of putting yourself first and not putting yourself at last and at the expense, your well-being at the expense of others. So the next card for the feminine is the Seven of Wands. This is about someone who's really, again, it's a card of perseverance, about trying to continue to get the upper hand, trying to overcome. This is about really making a strong effort, okay? So for a lot of the feminines, I feel like, again, this card of persevering and pushing ahead, really trying to maintain your position, not in a sense of ego, but it's like, I feel like for a lot of the feminines are like, I've worked way too damn hard in my life to have peace and to have abundance and joy or whatever. I'm not just going to give it up because somebody comes in and threatens that. So this is really about fighting and to stay where you are. You're not going to give up your ground. Don't give up the stuff that you've worked hard for. If you've created a life of peace and abundance, don't let somebody or a situation come in and screw that up. Really fight to maintain that. Continue meditating, continue with the self-care and the nurturing environment that you've built, the nurturing beliefs that you've built, and don't, whatever comes your way, continue to persevere in that energy. Because this is about strength, this is about courage, this is about recognizing that this life of being a twin flame, or whatever language, whatever label you use, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This is a long process. This is something that goes on for lifetimes. So we have to understand how to take care of ourselves, how to nurture ourselves so that we have the strength to continue going. So the feminines, I think, are really getting very solid in understanding that about themselves, and really appreciating that about themselves, that they do have an element of perseverance that's just really beautiful. So what is likely ahead for this connection? Wow, we have the Ace of Wands. Whoa, the Ace of Pentacles. Wow. And the 10 of Pentacles. This is gorgeous, you guys. The Ace of Wands, passionate new beginning. This is all about having this passionate burst, the spiritual type of energy that really ignites your fire again. Okay, so for a lot of the the people in this connection, what's ahead is this like spark of inspiration, passionate new beginnings. This is about a new spiritual inspiration. Okay, so it's like spiritual or sexual or creative inspiration, but it's all of those things combined, because that's what this card is about. Fire's passion. This is all about being inspired. It's like having potential, creating new opportunities, seeing new growth coming your way. So I see 2 aces showing up, which is all really about new beginnings. The Ace of Pentacles is building on a solid foundation. This is about creating a situation on something that is solid. I use this analogy a lot in my readings. If you've gotten a private reading, you've probably heard me say this before, but this card is about building a solid foundation. If you've ever watched a home being built, one of the first things, the first thing that is done is to clear the land and to level it to make it perfectly even, and then to dig the foundation. And digging the foundation, the measurements have to be precise. They go through and pull all the impurities and the rocks and all of that out of the ground, because what you don't want is a foundation that's built on uneven ground or ground that's not solid or that has a lot of impurities, because that will become a problem later. Foundation is the most important part of building a home, not the framing that you put up the walls with. None of that stuff. The roof isn't the most important part. It's the foundation. And people in this connection are understanding that it's important. So I'm seeing this kind of people looking at themselves and being like, is my foundation as an individual pure? Is it solid? Is there things that I need to go through and clean up and clear out? And if so, then I'm going to go ahead and focus on that and do that work, because I want to build a solid foundation for the future going forward. I don't want to have these impurities. I don't want to have these other issues continuing to be present in my life and creating instability in the future that I'm trying to build. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles, which is, an amazing energy. This is about happy home, happy life. It's the recognition that it is possible to have that. If you have been in any way settling in your life, being like, well, it's not great, but it's good enough, or it's not exactly what I wanted, but it's better than the last thing. This is a card to say, do not settle. Do not settle. Focus on your foundation. Focus on your passion, your inspiration. Follow those impulses. Stay the course of where you're going, because it is possible. Not only is it possible, but it's close, it's nearby. I feel like for a lot of people that have been waiting for this Ten of Pentacles type of energy, the job that feels good, or the business that's abundant, relationships that are positive, happiness, the ability to travel and do the things that you've been dreaming about. It's very possible. It's accessible. I feel like for a lot of people, this coming year, 2019, it could be the year that you really step into that level of abundance that you've been hoping for, that Ten of Pentacles. If you're not familiar with the full meaning of the Ten of Pentacles, you may want to just Google it and look it up and see what all it means, because it really is one of the most positive cards in this reading. So I feel, or in the deck, I'm sorry. So what I feel like this reading is saying is that people really are headed toward abundance and really great energies if you continue to follow what you've been told. So by Spirit. So let's move this aside. And I'm going to look at what blocks are currently at play. This is the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins by Doreen Virtue, I believe. I don't really use a lot of her decks, but this one spoke to me. This one did come out and play today. So what are the current blocks? Okay, we've got father healing and consulting an expert. So here's 2 things. Father healing, it says your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. So some people have daddy issues, okay? Some people have an unhealthy relationship with either their physical father, the memory of their physical father, or even an unhealthy relationship perspective, a viewpoint of how they view the divine. If you believe in God, the Father, that could be something too. But people, because this is in the block, it's saying that people need to heal that father energy. People need to release that. What does that mean for you in particular? Because this is going to be individual for everybody. Maybe you did have a not so great relationship with your physical father that you need to heal. Maybe there was some abandonment, some abuse. Maybe your father was not really present for you. Maybe your father didn't protect you. Maybe you had an abusive mother and your father chose to go to work and stay far away from things instead of dealing with what was going on at home. Whatever it is for you is what if this is resonating for you, you're going to know what you need to work with. And this is consult an expert. So what this is saying to me is that a lot of people aren't willing to ask for help. So part of what's being a block is that people aren't willing to ask for help. They're not willing to acknowledge, well, yeah, I've got these issues. I've got, issues with my father. And it impacts the way that I relate with my romantic partners, because guess what? It does. Even if you don't know it, even if you're not conscious of it, any issues that we have with our parental figures show up in the way that we relate with others until we do the work to heal them. And because this consult an expert card is showing up and saying to me that there are some people who just aren't willing to ask for help right now. There are some people who think that they can do it on their own. If you had a crappy relationship with your father or religious experiences, it may be time to start looking at going to recovery groups, going to Codependence Anonymous groups, or something along those lines, hiring a therapist, whatever that means for you. But it's important that you take the steps. One of the first things that with the quote, I think it's from like AA or something, like the first step is admitting there's a problem. The second step is asking for help. And those two things are the hardest things you'll ever do. Saying, you know what, I need some help here. I need some support. Being a therapist and going to therapy, I can tell you that one of the most courageous acts I've ever seen is people that are willing to go in and sit with somebody and say, this is what I need help with. This is what I'm struggling with. So because this is in the blocks position, it's saying that you need to ask for help. Consult an expert, whatever that means for you. If you've been thinking about getting a reading or hiring a coach or getting a therapist, whatever that is, follow that intuition, because it's going to help you. It's going to help you get yourself to where you want to go. So what is the advice? Oh, I love that. Playtime and positive energy. Gorgeous. So the first thing is about have some freaking fun. So many times people get so serious, get so caught up in their lives and the drama of their lives. And I get it, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've never been there, but we have to have fun. Allow yourself to go play. Go out and have some fun. Go out with your friends. Dance if that's your thing. Go to the pool. Go to the park. Whatever it is that brings you fun, that feels like play, not something that feels like work. If it's like going to the gym, it just feels like work. That's not good. Go out dancing. Whatever it is that makes you laugh, hang out with your friends, have some fun. It says the dolphins know the importance of playing, as joy creates miracles and manifestations. So get into that space of playtime, of having a lot of fun, of being excited to be alive and to be in that space of joy and abundance. And as you raise your vibration and get into that energy, you're going to create more miracles and manifestations. Then we have positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. If you're around people that make you feel like crap, or you're not enjoying your life, get away from from situations that cause negativity. So this could be whether you are, like I took a social media break throughout the month of December, which may continue for a while, because there's just a lot of intense energy right now, and I needed to take some space to breathe. So take some time, get yourself in a space where you're in positive energy. If you're around people who are just constantly like judgmental or negative or critical, make a conscious decision to move away from that. Don't stay around people who don't have positive energy. It's just not going to help you. And for you, examine your thoughts, examine your beliefs, examine your habits. Are you doing things that create positive energy, or are you doing things that create negative energy? Because these are really clear messages. Have some fun, lighten up, and stay positive. Stay in that positive energy field. That's not to say, again, spiritual bypassing, where you pretend like things aren't real and that things aren't happening. It's just learning how to frame them in a way that it doesn't have to be like the worst thing that's ever happened in your whole entire life. You can be experience negative things and still stay positive about how you perceive them. So let's move this aside. We're going to look at the True Love reading cards. This is by Belinda Grace. We're going to look at the connective love energy between you and the person for whom you are listening. What is connecting the two of you right now? Maturity. Yay, everybody's growing up. The Silver Waterfall. And abundance. I love it. So maturity. People are growing up. People are taking the steps to manifest maturity and manifest growth in their lives. Taking wisdom and applying it. That's what this card is saying to me. We also have the Silver Waterfall, which is about refreshment. This is about getting into a space of letting yourself be refreshed from difficult things in your life, not feeling so challenged and limited. This is about learning to protect yourself from the other people's negativity. If you look, it's like this person standing under the waterfall, purifying yourself, like Prince said, in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Not really like that, but this is about purifying yourself, learning how to cleanse yourself of other people's energies. This is about learning how to release energetic cords that tie you to other people, how to protect yourself going out into the world, into the public. This is about learning how to use salt baths and so on and so forth to really cleanse your energy and purify yourself, because it's really going to help you going forward. So both people are really learning that. And abundance. There is abundance that wants to happen. There's abundance that wants to come to you. So I see people opening themselves to that. So you might be having a lot of abundance that's happening, and so is your counterpart, which is great. So what is in your counterpart's headspace right now? Sexual freedom. The distorted masculine. I love this. And spiritual maturity. Gorgeous. So sexual freedom. This is about really getting in that space of understanding that there is beauty and power in sexual freedom. This is about recognizing that they are recognizing that they have been bound by norms, limits, shames. If they have been experienced abuse in the past, or there's been some research that shows that being introduced to pornography at an early age can distort people's perceptions of sexuality. What's happening right now with the person that you're listening for is they're examining their own patterns and beliefs about sexuality and trying to heal and working through that. In their headspace, they're thinking about it, they're aware of it. They're recognizing how some things that they may have learned as a young person or even in past lives about sexuality, that they've carried that with them, and it has caused some distortion. It's caused them to see things in a different, not so positive way. The distorted masculine is about, almost like power as opposed to freedom, bureaucracy, separateness rather than togetherness. This is about believing in that, like, if one person has to win, another person has to lose, as opposed to like collaborative type energies. This is about people that take advantage of other people, taking what they feel like they're entitled to, getting what's that saying? Like, I'm going to go ahead and get mine, and like people can worry about themselves. This is about acting from a place of force and not a place of consciousness. And so a lot of what's happening is that they're realizing a lot of how that energy, the sexual freedom and the distorted masculine, have played together and have been like kind of intertwined and has impacted them. And as they are examining this, they're looking at spiritual maturity, how they need to grow. But part of what they're experiencing right now is pushing them higher to grow in their spiritual maturity. As they continue to ascend in maturity spiritually, these issues will continue to work. They'll be able to work those out. Now, mind you, the distorted masculine can be either in a masculine or a feminine. So this is not about genders. This is not necessarily saying that the person that you're listening for must be a distorted masculine. No, this could be an echo of a feminine who has, like the card that came up, like father healing, that has some issues around the way that they perceive masculines that have contributed. So I just wanted to be clear about that. So what is in the person that you're listening for? Their heart space, commitment, the rainbow reviver. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love this. This reading is amazing. Reparenting yourself. So we've got commitment. They are really thinking about commitment. They don't necessarily want to be where they've been in the past. Even if they are in a current situation, like a current romantic or committed relationship, or they have romance in their life, what this is saying to me, or romance, I'm not going to say romance, commitment, if they have a relationship, not even a commitment, relationship. So if they're like in a karmic relationship or something like that, what I'm seeing is that they may not actually be committed to that. They may be in it without being committed to it, which happens. You know, that's not necessarily something that's shocking. And they're looking at things, their heart space, and they're like, I really want to be committed. I want to be in a situation where I feel committed, where I feel like positive about being committed, where I want to be in that energy without feeling like it's like I'm just going through the motions. They want a commitment that is based on love. In their heart space, they're thinking about this. They're thinking about that is something important to them. Okay, so if they are married or not married, whatever their situation is, they want the commitment. They want to have that situation. They want to have that kind of love-based commitment where they're not there out of obligation, where they feel like they have to be there, where they feel like there's something that they have to do. No, that's not at all what they're saying. What they're saying, what their heart space is in, is like, I want this. I want the love. I want that kind of commitment where I don't wake up every day and feel like, oh, I have to do this, but I want to do this. I want to be faithful to this person because I love them so much. And the Rainbow Reviver, this is about encouraging themselves. They are, the Rainbow Reviver is all about being in a space of being able to encourage yourself, to build up your own energy, not relying on other people. And that's something that they're really focusing on right now. And finally, reparenting themselves. What I'm seeing with this is that they're very much in an energy where they recognize that so much of the crap that they've been dealing with in life has been about parenting issues, has been about the fact that maybe they didn't feel like they had a great relationship with their parents. Maybe their parents were somewhat toxic or not accessible or available. And they're recognizing that they need to fix that for themselves, that they need to reparent themselves, that they need to be the parent that they always needed, the parent that they always wanted for themselves, and to really heal some of those wounded places. So let's move this aside. We're going to get some messages from their higher self to you with the Lover's Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. If you haven't, okay, that's too many messages, Spirit. Can we have just like a couple? If you are new to my channel, I always shuffle these in front of the camera because if you'll see how the cards just literally jump out. And so I always find it interesting because sometimes people are like, did you just make that up? And I'm like, no, it really just jumped out. More messages from their higher self, please, Spirit. Messages from the higher self of the person listening. Ooh, okay. Okay, that's cool. We'll take those 4. I like to take them in the order, read them in the order they came out. So the first card is healing. Imagine yourself and your beloved surrounded by light. Feel your relationship being healed at this very moment. Next message, gorgeous. This is like the 3rd time that this has come up. Manifesting miracles. Your dream is soon to become a reality. Trust your heart and continue to follow its guidance. Forgiveness. Yep. Stop focusing your energy on past events, for life is too precious to waste. You create your reality by what you think, dream, and imagine. And next message, wait. Don't rush into anything. Allow nature to take its course. Yep, continue to be patient and follow what it is that you've been guided to. So I hope that this reading resonated. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you'd like to book a private reading, all of the information on how to do that is in the description box below. Take care. Bye.